rising beat. Bass kicks heavy in a looping heat. Lit notes streaking a metallic glide, pulling all the tension to the system side.
Hi-hats scatter like a silver rain. Rhythms twist tight in a moving chain. Roses breathe slow in a stretched incline, ramping up the pressure in a narrow line.
Voltage stride tearing through the night, flashing every frame in a driven light. Riding on the spark of a coded flight, locked inside the surge where the waves ignite. Locked inside the surge where the waves ignite.
Kick drum storms in a hammering run. Patterns collide as the sequences stun. Vocal cuts flare in a distant sweep, floating through the static where the layers leap.
Breakdown folds thin in a softened drift. Silence shifts slow like a fading lift. Then the build strikes hard in a rising blaze, pulling every cycle back into the phase. Voltage stride tearing through the night, flashing every frame in a driven light. Riding on the spark of a coded flight, locked inside the surge where the waves ignite. Locked inside the surge where the waves ignite.
Signals scatter in a broken trail, fading past the noise like a thinning veil. Yet the charge remains in a dormant glow, waiting for the next strike to overflow.
Echoes swarm tight in a mirrored spin, low end pressure dragging from within. Leads carve patterns in a looping glide, pulling all the motion to the deeper side. Hi-hat ticks slide like a splitting chain, rhythms cut sharp through the metal strain. RZA pulls taut in a rising hold, holding every breath in a grip ice cold. Pulse divergence tearing at the core, breaking through the static with a violent roar. Racing on the line where the shadows pour, lost inside the drift, wanting something more. Kick snaps hard like a loaded strike. Drums fold quick in a shifting spike. Vocal grains scatter in a filtered sweep, tracing broken echoes where the signals leap. Breakdown dims, soft like a fading glow. Silence wraps tight as the pattern slow. Then the launch erupts with a sudden blast, dragging every moment back lightning fast. Pulse divergence tearing at the core, breaking through the static with a violent roar. Racing on the line where the shadows pour, lost inside the drift, wanting something more. drifting like ghosts from a shattered dream. But the pulse remains in a quiet trace, ready to break free in another chase. Currents twist deep in the rising hum. Bass lines rumble like a distant drum. Lead synth spirals in a rapid chain, pulling every thought into its domain. Hi-hats flicker like electric code, patterns shifting in a heavy load. The riser stretches tight like a sealed command. Moments freeze in place as the pulses expand. Back to surge override, breaking the frame, cutting through distortion like a burning flame. Riding on the current of a fierce waveform, lost inside the drive where the circuits form. Kick bursts forward in a molten spark, rhythms ricochet through the glowing dark. Vocal shards echo in a fractured sweep, slicing through the static where the signals lead. Breakdown softens like a fading glow. Silence curls around as the patterns slow. Then the lift ignites in a sudden blast, pulling every fragment back in a clash. Vector surge override, breaking the frame, cutting through distortion like a burning flame. Riding on the current of a fierce waveform, lost inside the drive where the circuits form. Echoes drift out in dissolving light, falling like embers through the quiet night. But the buried pulse keeps a hidden tone, waiting for the moment to rise alone. Now flickers deep in a fractured arc, signal split sharp, cutting through the dark. Bass grows heavy in a sinking wave, dragging every thought to the path it paves. Hi-hats crackle like a thermal spark, pattern slice clean through the circuit's bark. Riser coils tight like a spark restraint, tension fills the room where the sound remains. Neon full line breaking from below, shattering the pulse in a sudden glow. Riding on the clash as the patterns throw, lost inside the quake where the systems flow. Kick rolls pounding in a molten stride, drums collide fast like a crashing tide. Vocal shards drift in a process sweep, ripping through the void where the shadows creep. shines through the hollow dark, but the neon waits in a buried seam, ready to fracture through the next regime.
Static sparks drift in a crimson tone, low when pressure shakes the circuit bone. Sin waves ripple in a woven slide, pulling every fragment to the inner tide. Patterns loop tight in a mirrored spin, hi-hat sliced in where the beats begin. Risers curl slow in a rising flare, tension drawing closer in the loaded air. Climbing sweep, pulling every second from the circuits deep, 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 deep. Pulse overdrive blazing through the night, twisting every shadow into shards of light, running with the charge of a shifting stream, lost within the rhythm. But the pulse still waits in the hidden line, ready for the surge when the beats align. Twisting every moment out of time. Hi-hat snap quick like a coated flare, pattern slice clean through the weighted air. Rise up pulling slow in a tense incline, holding every echo on a faulted line. Signal fracture cut in through the frame, splitting all the noise like a wild flame, riding on the break of a warped domain, lost inside the drift where the waves unchain. Kick drum burst
verse in a jagged slam. Rhythm shatter sharp like a metal can. Vocal shards shimmer in a drifting haze, falling into patterns where the circuits blaze. Breakdown sing slow like a drain machine. Silence trembling thin in a ghost-like sheen. Then the burst ignites with a sharp recoil, dragging every signal back from the boil. Signal fracture cutting through the frame, splitting all the noise like a wild flame. Riding on the break of a warped domain, lost inside the drift where the waves unchain. Frequencies fade in a trailing spark, falling like dust through the hollow dark. But the signal hides in a silent seam, waiting for the surge to reawaken. Cling, 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 cling. Oh. Twisting with a hidden flare, circuits hum low in a grinding stride, pulling every heartbeat into the tide. Glitches spark bright in a shattered line, rhythms bend hard like distorted time. Pressure rises sharp in a coiled frame, feeling every second rewriting the game. Voltage recoil, tearing through the zone, ripping through the dark like a forged cyclone. Riding on the shock where the sparks are thrown, lost inside the surge where the charge has grown. Kick thunders deep in a primal shake, patterns break wide in a sudden quake. Sim blades cutting with a neon scream, slicing through the noise like a fractured dream. Breakdown whispers like a fading wire, tension hovering close to the edge of fire. Then the blast erupts in a roaring tide, pulling every signal back into the ride. Voltage recoil, tearing through the zone, ripping through the dark like a forced cyclone. Riding on the shock where the sparks are thrown, lost inside the surge where the charge has grown. Echoes fall thin in a glowing trace, drifting through the static of an empty space. But the current waits in a hidden core, ready to ignite and rise once more. inside the charge where the waveform in a rapid burst. Patterns crash loud in a tangled thirst. Vocal fragments cut in a filtered glide, drifting through the noise where the shadows hide. Breakdown melts soft like a dying spark. Silence holds thin in the breathing dark. Then the lift revives in a sudden climb, pulling every motion back into the time. Night circuit burning through the haze, flaring up the dark in a neon blaze, riding on the pulse of the shifting maze, lost inside the charge where the waveform plays. Night circuit burning through the haze, flaring up the dark in a neon blaze, riding on the pulse of the shifting maze, lost inside the charge where the waveform plays. Fade out in a whisper line, trailing through the void in a slanted shine. But the night still hums in a silent spin, waiting for the current to rise again.